Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to be here. I wish I could be there in person with you, but you get to see my floating head. I promise I do have a physical body. It just looks like I'm only a face right now, which is kind of a fun aesthetic. I'm gonna share my screen for us. Can everybody see this okay? Looks good? Okay, perfect. So, it was really inspiring to hear more about the mission of the conference, and it just is something that I'm so proud to be part of this with you all. And again, wish I could be there in person, but I want to explore this question today: how can games create space for playful impact? If we were to put 100 years of a person's life on a single slide and map out the amount of work and play that takes place in our day-to-day schedules, we might see something that looks kind of like this. This probably isn't that surprising, right? Play is very synonymous with our childhood. Then around 13 to 15 years old, we're told to grow up. Then when we enter our 20s, we're told to go to work. Then about 40 years later, if we're lucky, we retire, find ourselves struggling to learn how to play again, and ultimately spend all of our time taking quizzes on Facebook. This timeline, it feels incredibly normal, but it shouldn't be normalized. In fact, we need play, and we need to play. Play has been proven to do quite a few things. One of those is improve memory, stimulate creativity, improve brain functions, and reduce stress. I've spent my life so far focusing on three things that I'll talk to you about today: social impact, entrepreneurship, education as well. Let's start with social impact and entrepreneurship. These two areas have several things in common, but one of those things is stress. I was browsing the internet the other day and found out that The Guardian has a professional network comprised of thousands of nonprofit employees and leaders. And in a survey that they recently released to their members, 93% of respondents indicated that they're stressed at work either all, some, or a lot of the time. 93%. And this is consistent with what I've personally observed working with thousands of people from over 700 nonprofit organizations over the past 15 years through my practice, Very Nice. We're most well known for our impact model, in which we give half of our work away for free to nonprofit organizations and social enterprises. According to a study by Hannah Law of the YMCA, despite being more emotionally engaged, nonprofit employees are typically under more stress and burnout than any other industry. If you ask around, it doesn't take very long to find out where this stress is coming from. Nonprofits are notorious for issues with funding, leading to intense life or death fundraising deadlines constantly. Nonprofits, especially smaller ones, generally face a lack of resources, causing many organizations to spread internal teams quite thin and exhaust them. And finally, high levels of care-based work and consistent exposure to intense realities is emotionally exhausting. For those of you in the audience that work in the startup space or within small businesses, the first two are probably really resonating with you as well. Funny enough, in a viral article from Inc. that you might have seen a few years ago, these exact same issues were revealed to be prominent, but taboo amongst entrepreneurs. In the trials and tribulations of growing a business, in the psychological price of entrepreneurship, Jessica Bruder shares the several stories from entrepreneurs about the trials and tribulations that they face in growing a business. And in addition, her article cites a study from Gallup Healthways in which 45% of entrepreneurs admit to stress at work, a figure several percentage points higher on average than workers. So as someone that's spent my entire career so far working with entrepreneurs and nonprofits, it appears as though I specialize in working with some of the most stressed out people on earth. On a personal note, I'm also one of those people that struggle with stress and burnout fairly consistently. And as a result, it's no surprise that play has become a major tool for me to not only better engage with my clients and communities, but also make work more tolerable for myself. One of those games that I've developed is called Models of Impact. It's a role-playing and ideation game that simulates the process of launching a social enterprise. Through an emphasis on play and especially collaboration, the game is designed to teach people about socially responsible business. I developed the initial mechanics for this game in 2011 and released it to the public in 2014. It's now been played by an estimated 50,000 people across 150 countries. What Models of Impact is proposing is that every business model should be reimagined completely from scratch to prioritize impact and revenue equally. If we only have an impact model, we might feel a sense of fulfillment, but it'll be sort of what I refer to as a firework fulfillment, because one day we'll realize we need to be able to pay rent and make ends meet. On the other side of things, if we only have a revenue model in business, it's true we might accrue some wealth, but at some point we might feel a lack of purpose or motivation if every decision that we're making is for money. The game also includes a glossary of over 200 impact and revenue models that have been successfully used by individuals and organizations that work across just about every sector. At the center of the game's experience, though, is randomization, and this is my favorite part of it. Players use polyhedral dice like this to randomly combine impact models, revenue models, and something that we call other factors to inspire a new idea. And I know this can seem a bit abstract, so how about I do a quick example for us as well. So what I have here are 12 impact models, 12 revenue models, and 12 other factors, which in this case are just things that I personally enjoy doing. And then I brought with me a 12-sided die today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll one item from each of these lists and try to brainstorm something for you all on the spot, some kind of new business idea, new product or service concept. So let's see what I get. Okay, I got number 12 for my impact model. That is donating a percentage of profit or revenue to some sort of cause that's important to me. And then I'm going to roll my revenue model is number 3, which is e-commerce. So the ability to sell or buy things online. And then for my other factor, I have drinking tea. So now what I might do here is create an e-commerce business that sells tea and equipment that you need to brew tea and drink tea. And a percentage of the money that I make through this e-commerce business will be donated to benefit all kinds of people from various causes that I might want to align myself with as well. So the game itself is highly informed by my work building Very Nice and our Give Half model, which balances impact and revenue as well. We use this with clients and communities across the globe to imagine new products and services that can balance impact and revenue. One of those groups is the American Heart Association. We worked with them to help them develop a 15-year vision and value proposition for the organization and used models of impact to be able to imagine new lines of businesses that they might enter. We worked with Mozilla to create a version of models of impact that they could use during the onboarding process of bringing on new employees. Something that they had historically done was challenge new employees to come up with some kind of new idea for the organization. And this was designed to be able to better facilitate that process. And then finally, I'm a professor at the USC Iovine and Young Academy, where we've integrated models of impact as a way to teach social entrepreneurship and socially responsible business in our curriculum as well. In working with communities, play can level the playing field and inspire people to speak out and share their ideas in an authentic manner. In collaboration with several local organizations, at Very Nice, we co-designed and co-facilitated a full-day community workshop in a part of South LA that's known as Death Alley. The area gets its very harsh nickname due to the historically high murder rates and many conflicting gang territories that exist in the space. For these and many reasons, this part of Los Angeles is home to hundreds of vacant lots that are at risk of either development from sort of outsiders or gentrification. And the purpose of the workshop that we developed was to reimagine the use of these lots that are in the area. During the workshop, local residents and leaders engaged in playful activities in order to develop and present prototypes that would represent their own creative ideas around how they would like to use this space. A selection of these concepts were then actually funded and piloted following the workshop to be able to actually take place here. And I think one of the things that I really in particular liked about this experience was that the ideas we were creating together were meant to actually take place on the land that we were sitting on. So there was this sort of hyper relevance to the ideation process. At Very Nice, we've worked in some communities for 5 years, some for 5 days. And I just want to share 5 things to consider when you're working with communities. The first, imposing your services on a community is pretty much a lose-lose situation. Instead of initiating something within a community on your own, wait for an invitation. And in doing so, you can ensure that your services don't create further burden on a community due to time constraints or lack of resources. Second, ensure your team that you assign is representative of the community that you're working with. Third, don't impose your thoughts or ideas. Move from a sort of maker mindset to a facilitator mindset. And remember that while you may have interesting ideas as a creative person, if you're not part of the community that you're working within, the ideas are ultimately void of context. And as facilitators, we work hard to remind ourselves that we are not there to save a community, but instead to facilitate conversations. When discussing your social impact work, remember to take a reality check. And finally, far too many workshops end when the allotted time is up. Work to create a leave behind that captures and credits the contributions of everyone there. Play, especially when expanded to interactivity and immersive experiences, is also an incredible tool for learning. My wife and I were recently rewatching the 1989 sci-fi classic, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the other day. If you haven't seen it, it's a story of 2 metalhead slackers that have to travel time in order to prepare for an oral history report. Throughout their journey, they meet people like Genghis Khan, Abraham Lincoln, Joan of Arc, and Socrates. And in doing so, they manage to accomplish something they could never do in the classroom, which is retain key facts about historical events and figures. In my classroom, I do my best to replicate Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure for my own students. Now, I don't have a time machine, but I'm a big proponent of challenge and project-based learning, in which students can work in teams to tackle problems with real-world implications. In addition, I'm excited about the potential of applying play to educational experiences that can empower us to engage more critically with our own community and with local issues. Just before the COVID-19 pandemic hit Los Angeles, I designed and piloted a game called Carsick that would engage Los Angelinos in learning about the history of the Arroyo Seco Parkway, while also imagining a future without cars. Carsick consists of a series of conversational prompts, readings, and activities that are timed to be completed between freeway exits, all while sitting in the back of a car that's driving up and down this particular freeway, the Arroyo Seco Parkway, which is America's first freeway. So far, everyone that's played Carsick with me has actually gotten carsick. One person even threw up. And if that isn't immersive, I'm not quite sure what is. As game designers, UX designers, and other members of small and mid-sized enterprises, we have an ability to disrupt the day-to-day pressures in a serious way, while also engaging people in critical issues of business and of society. And by integrating play into our offices, our classrooms, our boardrooms, community centers, we can reap its benefits while also engaging participants in a more productive way. And so I want to leave with some questions. How can we make more time and space for play in our work? How can the products and services that we develop be more playful? How can we better engage our teams, clients, and communities with playful moments to increase productivity and happiness? When we prioritize play in our day-to-day lives and work, we create the space for playful impact. And with that, I want to say thank you again for having me. Hope you enjoyed some of those examples. And if you ever come to LA, we'll play car sick together and bring a barf bag.